Venezuela. Over 30 million people live in this vibrant country filled with culture and history. It's home to Latin American liberator Simón Bolívar and countless Major League Baseball players and beauty queens. Venezuela has beautiful, diverse landscapes and some of the world's biggest oil reserves. A country that used to welcome immigrants is now creating them. I spoke to 5 expats to share their side of the story. I wanted to know why they left and what their experiences were. I want to know what they think the future holds for them and for Venezuela. What happened to the place once referred to as a branch of heaven? 2014 began with protests all around the country. People protesting the high crime rates, long lines for empty shelves in grocery stores, and just terrible living situation. The protests left multiple deaths and several people in prison. The government is in perpetual denial and doesn't know how to fix the problem. Meanwhile, the country keeps sinking at an alarming rate. Many are choosing to stay and continue the fight, while others feel like their only choice is to leave. I'm one of them. I left because I didn't feel safe. Now, as a broadcast journalist, there's really no future for me there. I find it ironic that so many of our grandparents came to Venezuela looking for better opportunities, and now history is repeating itself, but it's our time to leave now.
Think of like the fringiest, craziest left-wing fringe group in the university campus that like you went to. Of like 15, 20 guys, whether it's an Earth First or like some like really, really fringy lefty anti-globalization movement that have like really, really nice ideas about the world. Just have like no sense of like pragmatics or power or like how you would actually run a country because everything is really heavily ideological with them. Okay. Got those guys in mind? Okay. Now picture like a bunch of like thuggish South American military guys with guns. Okay. Take those two groups, put them in a blender. That's what's been running the country for the last 16 years. How do you think a country run by that blend is going to go? Do you really think this is going to be like a beacon of democracy and progress? No, it's not that. You get total chaos, idiocy, and thuggishness blended together with this kind of like ethereal, but also just like devoid from reality, far left-wing discourse that doesn't actually help anyone or do anything. That's what Venezuela is.
It really is that bad. There are 3 major problems: crime, corruption, and a failing economy. 2014 had nearly 25,000 violent deaths. The government recently allowed police to use lethal weapons to contain protests, and 6 students have already died because of this, as if there wasn't enough police brutality as it was. 9 out of 10 crimes go unsolved.
She was well known in the Spanish-speaking world as a soap star, actress, and beauty queen. And this morning, she and her husband are the latest high-profile casualties in a country where killings, kidnappings, and armed robberies are becoming more and more common.
People have become very conformist with what they have, and they're just kind of settle in with, we have to queue up at 4 in the morning, and maybe we'll find chicken, and maybe we won't, and maybe we'll have diapers, and maybe we won't. And I think people are lowering their standards. And those who have an education and those who want a better future simply just leave the country.
Alexis and his wife are veteran expats. They own a Venezuelan restaurant in Crystal Palace, and even after all these years, still miss their home as much as when they left.
Los inicios siempre son complejos y son retos. Inicialmente yo estuve aquí hace 12 años trabajando en un organismo internacional. Después de 2 años y medio regresamos a Venezuela, pero ella tomó la decisión de quedarse acá. Que con el transcurrir del tiempo fue, bueno, el motivo personal por el cual nosotros nos vinimos aquí a Londres. El próximo mayo de este año cumplimos 5 años con el restaurante. Inicialmente hace 7 años comenzó mi esposa, fue un proceso de aprendizaje. Pero particularmente yo nunca había trabajado en la línea de comida. El trabajo que ha sido un trabajo de hormiguita, poco a poco.
Seguimos juntos, a pesar de que están lejos.
Sí. Que tengan mucha fe y esperanza. Que Venezuela, más temprano que tarde, va a mejorar.
Unlike everyone else in this documentary, Yole didn't grow up in an upper-middle-class neighborhood. She left el 23 de enero and is now a student at London School of Communications.
Me gradué de ingeniero de sistemas en Caracas y durante aproximadamente 5 años trabajé en ingeniería. Y bueno, luego renuncié y me dediqué a trabajar como fotógrafo freelance. Tal vez si la situación del país estuviera un poco mejor o digamos estuviera en un país un poco más vivible, yo creo que me hubiese quedado a lo mejor. No sabíamos cuándo nos íbamos a volver a ver ni nada que ver, pues no sabíamos nada. Bueno, agarré mis peroles y me vine, mis corotos. Agarré mis cosas y el 27 de septiembre estaba volando para acá y, o sea, yo creo que ese fue como que el primer golpe de la inmigración, ¿no? De emigrar, que fue así como, o sea, las cosas a veces pasan así violentamente, pero así como pasan violentamente, bueno, también retribuyen violentamente. A veces yo me imagino que van a pasar muchísimos años y yo no voy a volver, o voy a volver ya en una, no sé, en edad de retiro, una cosa así. Y hay veces que con la juventud uno lo que quiere es volver y todo lo que uno aprende, llevarlo para allá a ver si de alguna forma uno puede rectificar algo en el país. No creo que sea una cuestión nada más de cambiar de gobierno. No sería una razón por la que yo me devolvería, realmente.
Meet Erica. She left Caracas after graduating high school and after 7 years is forced to leave what has become her second home.
I'm just looking for a job, and in the Netherlands it's very difficult to find a job when you're not European because you're more expensive. So I was looking really hard, and one day my former boss called me and said, there's an opening and you should send your CV like yesterday. So I did, and I got the job for 3 months. And they said, we only want you here for 3 months. We don't want you any longer than 3 months. And I said, okay, 3 months of payment is 3 months of payment. I'll do it. So I did it, and by the end of my contract, they said, we really like you, so we're going to keep you until August 2016. So that was 2 full years. And I said, okay, then I'll stay. And they knew, I had all my visa stuff. So they said, we're going to give you a contract until this visa expires. We extend your visa, right? So I thought, perfect, let's do that then. So it was going very well at my job. And then on the 14th of November, my boss came to me with a very, very angry face and said, I have literally done everything I could to keep you here, but I simply cannot provide you with a visa. And then I sat down with my boss and with the human resources guy. And they said that I had 3 options to stay in the Netherlands. The first option was to get married and live with a partner, which I was not willing to do. The second option was to get a job that would pay me 3,800 euros a month. Here in the Netherlands, that job is for someone with like a master's and 5 years of experience at least. And I don't, I only have a bachelor and I don't even have a year of experience. So I can't do that. And the last option is political asylum, which I'm not willing to do because my life is not in danger in my country. It is, but it's not, I'm not being threatened. And I don't want to stay here as an asylum person. So my 3 options were leaving, and leaving. That there's no point for me to be in a country where they don't want me. Because that's the way I feel. it wasn't easy to come to this conclusion. I'm saying it to you point blank right now. I'm just going like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. But it didn't happen that way. It took me a long time. It makes my family very sad because they wish I could just be in my own country and I didn't have to go through all this shit. But it's the only thing we have right now. I don't know where I'm going to be in March. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in April. And it's really, really scary, but it's really exciting at the same time. I am going to a country that wants people. I don't want to go back to Venezuela. There's no future in Venezuela. My parents don't want me to go back to Venezuela. I think that if the country would have stayed all right, I probably would have moved to the Netherlands.
Francisco is one of the many journalists that left Venezuela because of pressure. He was a stringer for papers like The Washington Post and The Guardian, as well as the creator of Caracas Chronicles, a blog that was critical of the government.
No, I had like a couple of threats when I was living in Venezuela. Like by phone, I had one threat on like my car windshield wiper, which was creepy, very creepy. Because I had gone to a place I didn't usually go, and they put it there then, which sort of signaled that they were following me. It's hard to explain. Everybody I knew was getting threats. You know, like, if you're the only person getting threats, that's kind of scary. If, like, you're part of a community where everybody's getting threats, and, like, not a lot is happening about those threats, it feels almost, like, a little bit normalized. So much of the Chavista strategy for staying in power came down to saying, we are going to close down opportunities for you unless you play ball with us. So if you're critical, if you don't support the regime, we might not throw you in jail, but we're going to make it hard for you to get a loan. We're going to make it hard for you to get a job. We're going to pressure your employers. We're going to make problems for you. I could see that living in a country that was governed that way was going to put me under personal threat. You could sort of see the future of it written out ahead of time, and that's why I left. Stopped being able to have reasonable discussions with people, and then from then on, like, I just felt like the rest was just filling in the details. This was not going to like be a normal country for many years later. Just didn't want to live there anymore. For years before I became a Canadian citizen, like, my number one fear in the world was that I would lose my Venezuelan passport. Like, put it through laundry because I didn't notice that it was in like a pant pocket or something like that. And that was seriously scared of that, and nobody here in Canada could understand. They said, well, you just go and get another one. It's like, no, you don't just go and get another one. You don't just go and get another one. It can take years. I am known as a journalist critical of the regime. I don't know what kind of list I'm on. Or sometimes you don't even have to be in any kind of list. The bureaucratic systems just don't work. And so you can't necessarily get things replaced. And so I've spent so many years being so paranoid about that little book. And just the feeling, like the real feeling of freedom was when I got my Canadian passport. I just put that in my pocket, and it was this moment of like just exhaling and like relaxing for the first time in such a long time. So you've lived in Montreal for a few years, and you live in London. You know how it is. You can come home drunk at 3 a.m, and probably nothing's going to happen. You can't put a price tag on that. You know, I have two kids. You know, 1-year-old and 3-year-old. What does it? If it was just me, I could imagine going back on my own. But I'm going to take my kids to live in Caracas now. That's insanity. That's insanity. So I don't think they'll get many of us back.
This is Irene. She left Caracas to get her master's in Madrid and is now building a new home in London.
I realized that I was never going to be able to afford living on my own. I was never going to be able to buy my own property and have independence. That was very important for me. I feel lucky because I have 3 homes. I have my home here in London, my home back in Madrid where my dad is, and my always home back in Caracas. I hope we could go back and just make it all better. I want to say thank you for staying, and thank you for just keeping it up, for Yeah, because I know I couldn't stay there. I couldn't keep up the fight. Thank you.
If Nicolás Maduro is president of Venezuela on January 1st, 2017, I will eat my hat.
As for me, my time in the UK is running out. I don't know where in the world I'll be 4 months from now. But as more people get ready to leave Venezuela, there's one thing we all know to be true. This is home.